But yeah, so I just want to start off by asking Rory a little bit about your background before you joined 42 and where you are at the moment, and very brief, like how did you made it through?
All right, so I am originally from Bulgaria, but I'm studying at the Helsinki school, which is called Hive. I did the February Piscine, so about a year ago, and I joined in June. I had no background in coding, and uh, other than that, I don't know. I had a psychology degree, and I just decided that it is time to try something different, and it worked out.
Wow, psychology degree, and
Yeah.
you're now leading. You're leading one of the most exciting campus in 42, because we admire Hive, the way you did your website and the way you come up with your student body. I don't know if any of our PCners have experienced this, but go and check out Hive website and stuff. We tried to emulate quite a number of things. Tila, who's sitting at the back there, is a huge fan of Hive. Like, I'm sure one day he will be requesting me to send him over to Hive and stuff. So Rory, you might
Oh,
need to make
welcome,
some
welcome.
arrangements.
I wish, I wish. I actually almost took my education degree in Finland, but then I didn't.
Well,
So, yeah,
welcome
there
now.
we go.
We'll definitely arrange something. I'll
All right.
lobby the staff.
Oh, okay.
So, guys, I want you all to take this time. We've got Rory for about 45 minutes or so. Literally use this time to ask her about experience, ask her about what, made her pass through the piscine, coming from psychology background, no coding, programming. Most of you are in the same position as well. They're now in day 9, if I'm not mistaken. It feels like
Ooh.
day 90 for most people. It feels the same for us. If the piscina stays, the vocals have it easy, it's not. So yeah, please do use this time. Raise your hand, text if you're a little bit shy, but once we get it going, it's going to be nonstop. So who has a question? Please do the raise your hand feature, because I can't see everyone. Come on. Reno Ramli is doing the raise your hand instead of actually clicking the button raise your hand, because you don't just like raise your hand like that. You actually have a button to press, and then I can do that. Okay, I'm gonna Reno, can you just unmute yourself, and then I will put you up.
Sure, thanks. My question is, am I allowed to ask questions related to after I get admitted into
Yeah, of course.
42?
Yes,
Yeah,
of
you
course,
can.
anything. Yeah. Just not about the projects, but yes.
Okay. If I get admitted into 42, I don't actually plan to do anything related to web development. I want to do stuff related to mobile app development or blockchain app development, but I don't see any topics related to Kotlin or blockchain or whatever in the Stack Exchange network for 42. So I'm assuming that nobody does that. So am I going to be alone if I don't want to do
Uh,
anything involving web?
so regarding that, choosing your sort of like lane where you want to go, you have a bunch of choices, and thinking that nobody else will do it is probably not true. Even if like we are, for example, starting at Hive now, we have had 3 piscines, and we have about 150 people, and of course not everybody goes in the same direction, but there's always somebody else to be there with you in these sort of exercises. And in terms of doing something very specific, very niche, if you want to do that, then Hive, sorry, 42 Network will always expect you to sort of have a big amount of initiative on your own. So if you if you want to use the projects that the school has to support your learning and then branch out and learn another language that the school doesn't offer, but you will get those opportunities in the school itself once you enter. You will have other piscines that you can sign up for. You learn other languages, whether it be like for web development, which is the most common case, for example, like PHP, HTML, stuff like that. You can learn during a piscine. And I just, in November, did a piscine like that. So you have these sort of opportunities to learn. And if you have something more narrow, you can definitely take the initiative. And I think schools in 42 Network are very happy to facilitate own projects and stuff like that. And if you, just like us, organize a student organization, you can get support from other students who are similarly minded, and the school will support you and give you like facilities or contacts and stuff like that that you can use, and you can have other students on board as well.
Yeah, just to add on as well, because we also have industry partners that we work to localize some of the curriculum, and if you want to have a specific type of curriculum, that's where then we can engage with our partners and design into an extra curriculum for you to use as part of your learning. But don't forget, right, the most important bit is the fundamentals of anything that you do still remains the same. So you will still need to actually learn a lot of the basics in many different sectors. AI, cybersecurity, the basic branches, Unix and stuff. Those are fundamental. You can't just sort of, leapfrog and learn blockchain and stuff, right? So just to add on a little bit, right? Okay, we've got a question from Audrey. Audrey, I'm going to put you up. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Hello, Audrey.
Hi. So just now when you were answering Rinor's question, you mentioned that there will be more piscines. I thought there was only one piscine at the start. And if you pass this one, then you get into 42. So
you do.
You do, but it's not,
you do.
The more piscines is not for you. It's for the others. You don't have to do another piscine. It's
yeah.
Okay.
Largest piscine.
Yeah, just to add to what Jeff said, there are other piscines that as a cadet, if I'm not mistaken, Rory, you can just correct me, where you can have like a PHP piscine, where even you're a cadet, you can actually take it at your own sweet time, right?
Right. So staff will organize it. So they do have to organize it, of course. Mm-hmm. And you will have to have, at least in our case, we were like minimum of 20 people. And people would apply for it. So if you want to learn those languages, you can apply for it. And then it's pretty similar setting to the C piscine. It's just for other languages. The same intense hours, the same amount of exercises, the same crazy stuff all over again. But you do it to yourself this time.
Yeah, so if you pass this piscine, once it ends, it takes about 2 weeks for us to evaluate the scores that you see on the intra and our own scores that we are keeping track on the side, based on your activities, based on your involvements, what we hear. There's a mixture of both that we will combine, and then we will inform you if you have been selected. There is a date that we will provide you, and you can come in during that time frame that we have allocated. Because again, it is you earn the key or the freedom to then come in and experience 42, where it's at your own time, right? So it's not full time, it's not part time, it's at your own time. But obviously, if you don't commit the hours, you fall into the black hole, and then your projects get disappeared, and then you get kicked out because it's free education. So if you pass through, and then you can, obviously you'll be qualified as 42, and then if you want to, example, you want to go out to Hive to do your specialization, Rori will be more than happy to then pick you up. And
yes,
all you need to do is just fly yourself there.
Yes, I have a car. I'll pick you up from the airport. We're good.
All right. Okay. Any more questions, guys? Don't be shy. I think Lynn was telling me it's under reactions and then raise your hand. Isaac, what is your question? I'm going to put you up. You gotta unmute yourself.
Hi. Hi, Rori.
Hi. Hello.
Could you share a bit of your experience with us of how your piscine was like?
Mm-hmm.
Just want to get a little more insight for us here, since we're now at day 9.
Practically or emotionally or both?
Both.
Both, okay. So practically, I have to say that one of the most important things was that to realize that it's about the learning and it's about getting comfortable with failing and taking it up as like not a personal trait, like I'm a failure, but more like, okay, I failed, so I have to do this differently. And learning rigor is one of the things that even the website will show like as a quality that you're learning, like learning to be rigorous in your coding. And that is something that I think I learned during the Piscine very well, that you have to pay attention to the detail and make sure that your program, you know, it's not leaking, that it's not like, that it's not doing weird things, that it's handling edge cases and all these things that the Moulinet fails you for, that are actually important. So I think practically the Piscine was a learning experience, not just to learn code, but to learn how to code and to be able to adapt to the peer-to-peer system, which was really awesome. Also practically speaking, I didn't pass like a huge amount of days. That's not to say like, oh, if you don't pass anything, if you pass one day, then don't worry about it. It's about trying. It's about keep going. So there's no formula I can give you, but I can certainly tell you that if you see red after an evaluation, don't panic. It's fine. Just try again. Then emotionally speaking, it was a very harrowing experience, to say the least. And I think we had a very particular setting with our Piscine. It was a small one. It was organized in a single cluster, and we got to do this, of course, like before Corona, so we got to do this physically. And we created this sort of sense of community that was really invaluable. And I think if you try to do that, even if it's online, I think it's going to help a lot. If you just have the time to gather and just go like, oh, I'm so tired, or that exercise is frustrating, or I hate ASCII, whatever. Just be there to shout about things and be frustrated. I think that will be really helpful. And at least it helped for us, which is really useful, to have a kitchen break to shout at things.
All right, thank you, Rori.
Of course.
And yours was physical, right, Rory?
Yes,
yours
that's
was
right.
a physical Piscine. So, bearing in mind that our students are doing this online in their room, and as you can probably see, some of the students are probably sitting on the floor because maybe they've been, coding for, past 7-8 hours, and yeah, it's tough. It's not easy. It's not the best of environment when you're at home and doing this. But you've been in our Discord server, in and out at
I'm
least.
still lurking.
So maybe just very briefly, like any sort of observations that you noticed that really impressed you, and then I'll get Hans to give you a question. Yeah. So anything that impressed you based on just seeing the Discord.
Your students are super active, and I'm also really impressed the staff managed to organize exams, just like remote exams. How? I don't know how, but that's really impressive. But I think students are super active, so that to me means that they're very driven, like really driven to succeed and driven to understand and to collaborate, which is the key to being a 42 student ultimately. So collaboration, the peer-to-peer system, is the core of it all. So that is what's impressive, and I would advise and urge you to keep it up and go harder, and also have walks. Just get out of the room, go have a walk, mask on, and go out.
Definitely. Hans Wong, or some would say Hans 2, or Hans Duo. So Rory, backstory, we have two Hans,
Okay.
Hans Solo and Hans Duo. So now we have the second Hans. Hans, your question. Unmute yourself.
Hi, Rory.
Hello.
Hi, Rory. So I want to ask one question. Okay, when you are doing exercises, right, during the Piscine, when you are stuck in certain question, and no matter how much you figure out, you cannot figure it out, and you look at the next project, which is much easier than the exercise you are doing right now, would you consider submit like the function that might not work and get evaluated so you can learn something from that and continue on the next project, or keep on figuring out what is going on with the exercise?
So when I'm in that kind of situation, this is a brilliant question, by the way, I love it. So when you're in that kind of situation, I would personally consider that there are three options, and only one of them is like bad. One is like keep staying with the thing you're stuck and just grinding until your brain explodes. That is the bad option. Number two is ask somebody else. So ask somebody else because this is peer-to-peer and you're supposed to learn from one another. And sometimes it becomes so that there's like three people in a piscine that are really getting asked all the time. But because it is a peer-to-peer system, being asked is also an opportunity to learn and to help the school, even if it like slows you down with one less exercise. So I would advise work together and ping other people, even if you suspect they might be annoyed by you. Don't, they're not. And if they are, that's a difficult place to work in then, because that's the premise, that you help each other. And number three is what you said. Work on the next exercise that you're more confident in, that you have more inspiration for, that you feel more like you're able to do. And then when you go to an evaluation, somebody else might be able to show you how it works and give you examples and teach you something new. And then, like I said, it's about the learning. So you end up learning something and do it better next time.
Thanks, Rori.
Of course. Hello.
Hello. Oh, okay. So I thought like, Jeff is going to say something before I talk. Okay. Hi, Rori. That was like, just when you talk, you're so like, excited the way you speak. Of course, like, we had has answers, hands want. Like, just asking a question for a change. Okay. So I wanted to ask, right, like, Piscine is like, a very interesting experience in itself. What happens after Piscine? I mean, like, how are the, like, students like have been coping with it, or like, do something beyond Piscine? See, because this is like, there's just a path towards achieving something else, right? So what are the something else that people have done after Piscine, and like, when you're like, when they are doing the main course, which is like, it can be data science or like, system engineering, like, how is that like, coming across? Like, that is the part which I wanted to understand, because I read a lot about Piscine online, but nothing beyond Piscine. So if you can tell us more about that, that will be great.
Absolutely, yeah, of course. So the experience is, of course, a little bit different, because all of a sudden the piscine is not demanding a certain pace from you. So you can go home to your family in case when it's like you're not home typically, or, you can see your family, put your headphones off, like, oh, you're also here. So that also, that is different and good. Other than that, practically speaking, it's very similar. You get your projects, you have to work together. You learn the same way. It's the man, it's Google. There's nothing else. There's like materials don't pop out all of a sudden. It's exactly the same. And other than that, yeah, it's a little bit slower, but the fundamentals of it are pretty much the same. And like I said, you can do other piscines. You also have exams. You have to pass like a certain number of times. You have to pass an exam before you can go to your first internship and stuff like that. And I think you also have like the bar right now for Piscine that shows your progress. And shows like XP and stuff like that. You have a similar thing, and you're expected to reach a certain amount of XP until like a deadline. So you have to. It's kind of like an encouragement to keep working. So it's not just like you entered and 3 years later like, should I start with Piscine Reloaded? So you have to keep working. And I don't know. What is there anything concrete that you want to know? I'm not sure what to talk about.
What do the students do? I mean, like, do they just go out there work, or like, have they come up with startups? Like, is there
Oh
any
yeah.
some examples which you like, which you have seen yourself or like to code?
Absolutely. We have a huge amount of, people creating their own apps, doing their own, or like creating games, like starting their own studios, or having startups as well. And we have this Hexagon, our student organization that currently I was elected the president of, and we try to encourage students to organize their own projects, and we also help them with them or organize for them projects that they can participate in. For example, right now we started, or we're trying to organize a little workbench where you can build things and do, for example, use C++ to do some, and the C language to what was it called? I forgot the term suddenly of what we were doing. But build little machines and code things for themselves. Have your little project. Sorry?
Arduino or Raspberry Pi kind of stuff?
Yeah, exactly this kind of stuff. I'm sorry, I'm not the head of that project. I forgot what it's called.
We all go through that, like, we all learn different things at different points of time.
Yeah. So things like that. And we also had like a sort of hackathon organized, but it had to be canceled because of Corona. But things like that. We always have these sort of things organized.
Fun, which I wanted to do. Yeah.
All right. We've got Prague.
Hello, Prague.
Prague, what's your question, buddy?
Hey, Rory. Are you having a good morning? I hope.
Yes.
Great. So I have like 3 questions, I guess. I want to ask you about your individual experience with this whole thing. I hope you don't mind.
No.
So first thing was, what was your expectation going into the Piscine?
So for me, maybe I had a little bit different experience. I'm an immigrant to Finland, and I have lived for like several years here, after having had a higher education, not being able to find a job that matches my experience and my training and my expertise was very hard on me. So that's one of the key reasons why I switched to coding when Hive arrived in Finland, because it's not a language specific, and it's typically more welcoming of immigrant people. So I had a very personal reason to change to coding, and for me, Piscine was very kind of like a life or death, not exactly, but kind of like that. So I really needed to get into Hive. So I had that stress, but at the same time, I had a very good experience because I felt that we created a sense of community, like I mentioned before. And that was really invaluable because the language on campus is English, because we have that, because staff helped accommodate this sort of like community where we don't facilitate the discrimination on campus. And it was very invaluable for me as a person, and also as a student, to be able to feel comfortable and then focus on learning rather than fitting in a community or environment or a country or whatever. So that was my personal experience, but I think it's very specific.
So for my second question, like I understand for a lot of people, Piscine is quite arduous and it's quite like it's something that's difficult, and most people have never experienced it. I'm pretty sure never at all. So what was your key takeaway from this entire experience, like for you?
Pace yourself, rest. Interestingly, I know it feels very weird to say that, but I think that it's actually more important than you can tell. That working hard is not a question when you're driven. I think you will work hard. You will want, when you have a drive to learn and to work, you will do those things. But if you overdo them, you have long periods of time where you're exhausting yourself, but you're having no results or no valuable results. The things that you would do after you've rested, you would do them in half an hour. But if you do them after you've pushed for 6 hours, you will take another 6 hours to achieve the same thing. So actually, I think rest and pace yourself and allow yourself to kind of like have pauses and take care of your own well-being. That has been what really stuck with me after the piscine.
And then my final question, I think it's tied to the same question again. What was one thing you know now that you wish you knew while you were in the piscine that could have made your life much more comfortable? I think your answer is about the same here, I guess. I'm not sure. Like, do tell us.
The real answer is C, programming language, but but to be honest, that's not as helpful as it sounds. We had people who have experience with programming and people who had experience with C programming language who struggled because later on there's more complicated exercises. But I think yes, you're right. Kind of like learning to take care of yourself and prioritize your well-being was something that really I learned during the piscine, and it turned out that the later weeks for me were more successful, more fruitful, and more kind of like bright and happy in my own head than the first 2 weeks, which were like, oh no, I can't sleep. So
cool. Those are great questions, Prag. Especially, I think we tend to forget that we're kind of almost midway through. I think this Friday or so we will be somewhat midway. But I think a lot of us have to sometimes also look back and realize, like, day 1, day 2, day 3, how difficult it was. And now, over the last 24 hours, how you feel, right? I think it becomes like, okay, I honestly believe, like, yesterday was the hardest day ever. That means whatever you do today you can definitely do it. Talking about, like, how you get through it, we might, like, your advice earlier on, Rori, is about taking the time to rest and do other things and regenerate yourself. Reminds me of that story of the two guys who are axing down the tree story. I don't know if you guys know about this story where there are two individuals with an axe and they're chopping down a tree, and both of them same axe and same strength, chopping down the trees. And the first guy realizes that the second guy always takes a break. Every hour he takes a 5 minutes break, and then he comes back and then he chops and then he goes off again. So this first guy realizes, like, hang on a minute, he's taking breaks like every now and then, but then he's chopping more wood than me. Why is that so, right? So he was not happy. And after the week, he actually went up to the guy and said, hey, buddy, like, I realized you take a lot of breaks. Why are you chopping down more trees than I am, right? It's like, oh, it's easy. Actually, I was there sharpening my axe. That's why I was chop more wood than you. Whereas you just go on and on and on. So it actually, that's really a good way to remind yourself that sometimes, I think a lot of them had this problem. They've been facing that problem, and then they're like, no, I need to solve this. And they go on and on and on and on. And actually the solution came when they just took a few minutes break. Maybe they took a nap because it was like 2 a.m. And then next morning they realized, oh, how did I not see that? So it's try to find ways to keep yourself energized. It's a marathon. Tila mentioned before, it's not a race, it's a marathon. Work hand in hand. Any other questions, guys? If not, then I will let Rori go and have her breakfast or brunch or lunch. Whatever that you're having in Finland at the moment. How's the weather like in Finland, by the way, though?
Well, it was colder before, but now it's only -10.
Oh, what beautiful sunny weather.
I don't like you so much anymore.
You know what, Rori? You are always welcome to come into 42 KL. As you can see behind us, it is a warm 32 degrees Celsius. But yeah.
We have a small mini fort around us.
I'm Bulgarian. I'm not used to this weather.
And the humidity is very high at this point.
Yes, I want this. I am coming then.
More than welcome to. Guys, any other questions? If there are no questions, I've got a surprise because I also want to announce the winner of the speed typing test that we did earlier. And
Can you type out the question, please?
Sorry?
There was
Yes,
somebody
of
asking.
course. Oh, yeah, on the chat. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry.
Someone's wanted to type a question. Go ahead. Kevin. Let me see if Kevin is here. I can
Kevin? Is he here? Where is he?
Yeah, he was saying that I want to type out my question.
Yeah. Maybe he's typing.
It's okay. I think I just talk.
Yes, better.
Okay. So actually, I understand that 42 is based on a peer-to-peer learning structure. But then for me, I'm like quite a slow learner, and then I feel like I'm falling behind compared to the rest. So most of the time, I feel like I'm on the receiving end rather than the helping end. So like, should I be worried that I'm not gonna get accepted?
So the peer-to-peer system exists for the reason that you always have somebody on the teaching end and always have somebody on the learning end. So the learning experience is not it's not a problem. If you're learning, that's what you're here for. And it's a very common thing. We had a huge amount of people who felt that way. I felt that way on occasion. That I was falling behind, and the feeling returned even coming into the school and doing the first few projects. I think it's a part of the experience, is something to learn to sort of like accept that it's not about whether you're in the same place as everybody else. Because the pace will continue to vary throughout your entire student experience. You will have people who will be able to complete the first part in 6 to 7 months, and you will have people who will need the full year to complete it. And that's completely normal. So I think the Piscine is kind of like indicative of the same thing, that people have different paces. And even if you're always on the learning side, that's completely fine, because you are here to do exactly that. You're here to learn. So good thing. And there was another question about what's the number one reason Pisciners give up.
Yeah.
So
what is the number one reason?
I think that same thing. Feeling like you're falling behind, you can't catch up, and that somehow makes you like a failure, not good enough for the school. So I think that was, at least in Hive, from my observation, the number one reason people decide to give up, and that they are simply not made for this, which is not true. Or maybe it was, that you were not in the right mind space at the time, that you couldn't like accept that learning and failing and not being so fast as somebody else is not a problem, because it's not a problem. You will get to that point whenever you get to that point. It's fine.
Yeah. We've got another one. Ethan is asking, hey Rori, as we feel underachieving every day for the past 90 days, what goals can we or should we focus on to take away from the Piscine, having the basics of C programming, learning to work with others, what qualities the core program requires us to take away from the Piscine, assuming that they get in?
So I mentioned this, but rigor is really important. That will not be let go. Moulinet and Norm will not disappear after you pass the Piscine. They're there to stay, and the school is trying to enforce a together standard of programming where we make sure that every part, where we don't release Cyberpunk 77. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I had to make that joke, but the goal is to make sure that you fix your bugs, that you pick up after yourself, that you make sure you don't have leaks, that you test every part of your program rigorously over and over again with all the edge cases, all the things that you can think of. And so the rigor is the number one thing. And yes, the peer-to-peer is essential so that you won't be a lone warrior trying to create a AAA studio from your mom's basement. Like, that's not what the goal is here. The goal is to support one another, to work together, to have projects together, and to keep learning from each other. So I think those are the two things that I would take away. Apart from the practical side, of course, the languages and stuff.
They truly enjoyed you roasting Cyberpunk 2077. So that's yeah. So for those of you who don't know, it was a game that was super hyped up but massively bugged out, and they pulled out from many stores. So yeah, lesson
It
learned.
was so sad. And we all know that it's the money talking. No programmer would do that.
It is. Let's see. The chat is super active, but it's basically 99% just pure chat.
Pineapple on pizza? Who said that?
So one of the criterias that we had, Rori, is that I personally believe there are two types of people in this world. One who loves pineapples on pizza and the other who doesn't. So when we were trying to figure out a way of how we can allocate in different individuals with different mindsets to work together in the villages, one of the questions that separate these individuals to make sure that we know where they stand is that, do you think pineapple should be on a pizza? I want to ask you, do you think pineapple should be on a pizza?
No pineapple on pizza. No fruit on a pizza. Heathens. Pizza on pineapple.
But cherry tomatoes and tomatoes is a fruit.
Got a point there.
I have been defeated.
Oops.
Well, I think
one fruit is a choice. Two fruit is a fruit salad.
It's been such an honor, Rori, to be speaking to you, and also like really just thank you for being part of this journey with us. Our first Piscine, and we had discussions before we even started this Piscine, and it was, I think it's really good to have you on board, and having the students actually noticing that there are individuals, because it's online, it is really difficult. We understand. Again, I want to reiterate, if anyone has any difficulties, you're feeling, isolated, feeling you're stepping away from whatever jokes that has been happening in the chat, you see groups forming up, that's usual, that normally happens anyways in a physical manner, but come up and speak to either one of us. We have 3 vocals, we have Lynn, we've got Tila, we've got myself, or you can even reach out to our 42 partners like Rori. We've also got Armel in our Discord. We've got a few individuals that you've now met. We've got Tristan as well. Some of you who have met him, is an evaluator from Stanford University who's helping us to do the rushes evaluation. So, we've got different individuals that are, there. Hence why when we do this kind of meetings, we want you to turn on your video. We can see you. And we'll be more than happy to talk to you and just sort of help you out. The most important thing is, I think, like Finding Nemo, is just keep swimming. Don't just drop out, because you're nearly halfway through. Don't give up.
Yes, you can make it.
Yeah, Rori, thank you so much. I'm gonna take over, because I'm gonna do the results of their typing speed test and announce who's the fastest typist we have in our group. Take care, Rori.
It was very nice talking to you. So bye you guys, and good luck.
Thank you, Rori.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Oh my God, like the typing test. So it was very impressive. A lot of you guys did pretty well. I'm guessing some of those who are struggled to get what the vocals call it average scores, is you fall in I call it the Tila category, as in the category of Apple users.
I'm using the butterfly key, the 2019 MacBook, what do you call model, the flat stupid keyboard. It's just the worst keyboard that you can ever imagine using, man. You can't even feel your fingers. Where are they on the keyboard? So yeah, that's my level of typing now.
Tila +1.
I know.
So yeah, if you were using a MacBook Pro or any Apple products, it is really difficult. If you're using PC, you have an advantage. Then if you're using one of those mechanical keyboards, I think people are saying like, oh, gamers have advantage. It's even, more, I guess you have a head start, or Tila called it, it's like you got performance enhancing drums. You got all this external stuff. Now, before I announce the winner, I got two things to show you, because one is I mentioned there is someone who's a little bit sus, who filled up something and shared with us something, and I'm going to share what is it exactly that this person actually put in in the Google form. And let me show this to you guys and tell me if this looks dodgy to you guys.
No, it doesn't look dodgy at all.
No, it doesn't look dodgy at all. It looks exactly like it's supposed to be, right? I mean,
that is
only
Marvin.
fair. It's only fair.
That is Marvin. That is Marvin. Only Marvin can do that. So
But
it's
why
not
Marvin
sus.
can't write a normal conversation?
So very sus, but this person actually just put it there. It's like for the lols, just for fun. And then I also received a sort of something that, it took this person probably more than 5 minutes to figure this out. And then to do this is another like 2-3 minutes. So I'm like, kudos for the effort of actually going through and figuring, how to do this. And I will share my screen and I will then play the video itself. All right, can you guys see the video? And I'm gonna hit play. So watch this. That's not it.
There was a bug.
It's he decided I'm going to take it the next step. I'm going to go into the HTML scripts and I'm going to find all the values and tweak them and then do a screenshot.
Smart, really smart.
And there we go. So got a screenshot of 132. So I was like, wow, okay, all right. Someone actually really took the effort to do this. Obviously, this was just, it alerted me, and say like, hey, by the way, this is possible. And I replied, it's like, you know what, if they go through all this and just to get like one additional point, kudos to them. I mean, they're really utilizing their time very well spent to do this. So, but we do have a winner, and I hope it's a legit winner. I want to bring up the winner up on screen. Let me see if I can find him in this pool of users.
You just invalidated all the women.
No. All right.
Make him type now live, so that then it's true or not.
I have unmuted this person. I've asked this person to unmute himself. Can you turn on your video? This individual that I've asked to unmute. Oh, there we go. All right, I'm going to put you on spotlight.
Again.
Hans.
So Hans, your score was, let me see if I can look back into the sheet here. You had scored, and it was really impressive, because it's like quite high. The gap between you and the person that's second place, it's quite high. I can't find the sheet at the moment, but remind me again, what was your score?
106.
106
Wow.
words per minute. And the closest was 99.
Hands wrong.
I can't disclose PDPA. I cannot disclose details of who's below that. But Hans, since there is a lot of people who were like, wow, 100 over points and all, we need you to do this. I think there's someone already.
Okay, sure.
Screen share.
So this
Just
is
type
like
into the
live
chat is-
presentation.
Come on, Hans.
Can you guys see my screen?
9,000. Go for 9,000.
Oops. I'm so nervous, you guys.
You can do this. Come on.
He even clicks as fast as he types.
That was. That's so cool. Smooth.
That's how you write codes, I tell you.
Tila would be throwing his laptop.
Yeah, I'm throwing my laptop.
I'm actually using a MacBook as well, but not the butterfly keyboard. I'm using a 20.
Tila, you can hire Hans to do the typing for you instead.
Show us your finger.
I loved my 2010 MacBook. It was amazing, but not this one.
I still have mine.
Oh.
It was amazing, yes.
It's unfair, right?
I think he's nervous.
No, sometimes we have to
I'm
see the
super
keyboard
nervous.
to type, you know. He's conscious, he's not nervous.
Oops.
He's so cool, actually.
Ah.
That was fast.
Yeah.
There we
Okay.
go.
Wow, even that felt slow for him. That even that was fast.
That was really
I actually got a new best, 108 at one.
Oh my god.
So that was super impressive.
That's like 5 times.
Thank you. So people in my school back in high school were super competitive. So I did this a lot back in high school. So maybe that's why.
We should
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So we should have joined that school before coming to Piscine.
Well, Hans, basically what you've got is one additional point.
Thank you.
For being able to do this quite fast. Now, I didn't suss you out because your screenshot showed your average speed and the rounds that you did. And in total, I think when you submitted that, you did 12 times and your average was at 98 or something. So I looked at it and was like, okay, this guy was legit. But I wanted to bring you up on screen because that pressure, and I didn't want to let you know beforehand because then you would, warm yourself up, do some, cracking your
Yeah, no
knuckles,
worries.
all that kind of thing. Go buy a 1 hour delivery of mechanical keyboard and all, right? So we don't want to do all that, right? So put you on the spotlight, see what happens. But yeah, cool stuff. Thanks a lot, everyone. We have to go for more evaluations at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I do have one last message that I would like to say for those who have done your rush evaluations, right? So the first rush, especially, it's not something that you should really if you don't get marks, like for example, if there's a compilation error, if you made a wrong file submission and things like that, and it doesn't work, you get a 0. Do not worry about it. Like what Rori earlier mentioned, it doesn't matter if you fail, it doesn't matter if you get 0, it doesn't matter if you see red. It's actually your rigor. Are you giving up after you get a 0, or are you embracing that failure? And for the next rush, are you actually overcoming the mistakes that you made? So that's the real main point or key takeaway from this. So it really doesn't matter because we actually look at your teamwork. We actually look at how you communicate with us during the evaluation. What's your learning? What's your key takeaway? How's your teamwork? And whether you actually understand what you're doing, even though you made that error, right? So what's that learning outcome that you get? So that's the most important thing. So please do not look at the 0. Please do not be like a typical Malaysian, like how we used to have this mindset. If you get 0, if you fail something, we're not going to get anywhere. No, that's not true. In the Piscine, that's not the 42 culture. So embrace the failure. And I hope to see everyone up until the end of the last day. All right?
Tila, can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
What is that out of 100? There's something 150 XP in that below. So is it maximum you can get 150 or something like
Yes,
that?
the maximum you can get 150.
Okay, so if you don't get 30 out of it or something like that, what does that mean? Like, is there something which we missed?
It's probably depending on the structure. So for example, some of the points that are allocated are for bonuses. but you only get bonuses if everything else works perfectly.
Okay, so we'll ask Jeff later about it. Okay. Okay, thanks.
Don't worry about the score. Again, the scores don't matter.
Not worried. I was just wanted to know how it worked.
I see. Okay, we'll explain to you once you start going into the cadets. Once you actually get selected after the Piscine, we'll probably give you more because you might become the next evaluator for the coming Piscines, for example. Right? Yeah.
That will be fun.
Yes, it will be fun. Okay, I gotta go for an evaluation at 5. See you guys.
Thanks for the call. Yeah.
Okay, then see ya. Bye.